All right, everyone, we are live with Stream of Consciousness with Dan. Today, I've got someone on the show who represents one of the most iconic names, not only in Wisconsin cheese, but throughout the country. I'm joined by Elle Williams from Carr Valley Cheese. And if you know anything about Wisconsin food culture, you know Carr Valley is woven into the fabric of this state. Ellie works at the heart of that operation, shaping the brand, connecting with communities, and helping carry forward a craft that's been part of Wisconsin for generations. She brings both a mix of expertise, personality, and genuine love for this industry, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to dig into the stories behind the cheeses so many of us grew up with. This is going to be fun. Ellie, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you. I'm doing well.
Good. Well, I would tell you how I'm doing, but I already did offline because I need some Carr Valley cheese in front of me for this
Yes,
to.
yes.
Oh man, it's so good. But yeah, before we even get into Carr Valley, excuse me, I kind of just want to talk with uh just Ellie as a young girl, where you grew up, kind of your hobbies and interests, and just kind of what young Ellie looked like.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up in Lime Ridge, Wisconsin, which is in Sauk County, kind of that southwestern part of the state, about 40 minutes from the Wisconsin Dells. I am an only child, and so growing up in that part of Wisconsin, in rural Wisconsin, I spent a lot of time outside. I was very fortunate to grow up about a mile from my grandparents' house, who lived on a farm. So I was outside looking for kittens most of the year to tame and, baking with my grandma. I was heavily involved in music. I started taking piano lessons when I was 4. So she carted me around to those. Spent a lot of time with cousins and family. And then I went to a really small high school, K through 12 school, Weston, and I graduated with 14 people. So very, very small rural living. Um, but I think, I wouldn't change any of that because I think it kind of molds you as a person. Every childhood molds you as a person, but I feel very fortunate to grow up in that type of a lifestyle. So
Yeah, I can echo that for sure because my uncle worked on a farm just outside of Cazenovia.
oh
So
yeah.
literally we probably might have driven past each other
Yes.
on like County Highway G.
Yep. Yep. So
Oh
I grew up
gosh.
on Highway S. So not
Oh, okay.
far away. Yeah. So
Oh, well, that's great. I grew up playing piano too. Do you think that kind of maybe helped just spark your creativity because a lot of what cheese making is about and just marketing in general is being creative. And for me, I think music has helped me throughout my profession and just being creative. So do you think you resonate with that at all?
yeah, I would say so. And I think, which I'm sure we'll get into later, but I have my bachelor's degree is in piano pedagogy. So I taught students throughout college as well. And I think that type of environment, it teaches you a lot of discipline and
Hmm.
time management. And yeah, kind of I always kind of led with, it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be what's on the book, but make it what it is for you. And so I definitely think that lends itself to that creativity and the freedom to kind of explore and create something.
Yeah, that's really neat. I'm actually playing the piano for my sister's wedding in August.
Amazing.
I'm playing canon and D, and I'm pretty nervous. So if you have any tips on practice, we might have to talk offline on that because
Yes.
it's a little intimidating. But
Yes,
that's
you'll do
really cool
great.
that you did that.
Yeah.
That's really neat. So actually, that's I'm actually gonna skip forward and then go back since you talked about what you went to college for. So how did you get into the cheese world then?
Yeah, so being in rural Wisconsin, when I turned 14, my parents were like, it's time for you to get a job. And so like a week after my 14th birthday, so August of 2009, obviously didn't have my license, and the closest job that I could get was at Carr Valley. So it was about a mile down the road from my house, and my cousin worked there. She was in high school at the time. My grandma worked there, and it made it really easy for me to get to work, so I could get a ride with someone to work on Saturdays. And so that's where my journey with Carr Valley starts. Obviously I was eating the cheese and I was very connected to the company before 14, but that was my first job because it was basically either that or most of my like peers were going to the Dells to work, which you almost
Oh,
need a
gotcha. Mhm.
license to go, and most of them were like lifeguards and things like that, which would have been I was very jealous at the time because I was like, oh, being outside in your swimming suit in the summer at Noah's Ark, that sounds really fun. But I chose the hairnet cheese life, and so that's kind of where I started. And obviously when you're 14 you never think that the your first job will be your job forever.
Mhm.
um, but I was very fortunate in the way that my path kind of continued on the trajectory that it did. And I didn't go to college for like something ag related or sales related for that matter. I worked through at Carr Valley all through high school, all through college, pursuing a degree in recreational therapy and piano pedagogy, hoping, I think, eventually to be a music therapist was my original plan. Um, but I over my time at Carr Valley, I had a chance to kind of work in several roles at the store retail store level. And the owner said had approached me before I graduated and offered me a position, and it was something that I didn't feel I could turn down at the time. And obviously, I'm so glad I didn't.
Right.
Food is such a food and cheese in particular is such a happy thing, right? And
Mhm.
so sales, when you're thinking about taking a sales job, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, a slimy sales guy making
Yeah.
calls. And I did not want that. But the nice thing about Carr Valley and just cheese in general is that it doesn't feel that way. People are happy when you're talking to them about cheese and food, and in particular, Carr Valley is so many people have that happy connection with it that it's never felt like a chore or something intimidating sales wise to do. So I'm happy I chose that path.
Yeah, well, I think you made the right decision for
Yeah.
sure. But you're exactly right. And I've spoken with chefs, a couple of other cheesemakers as well. And for me, yeah, food just brings people together. Everyone needs to eat. It's a universal language. So yeah, I love that. And I always love to ask this question as well, is what does being Wisconsin mean to you?
I would say a lot of pride. I think, when you're younger, and by no means am I like, super old, but when you're in like high school and college, you kind of take it all for granted. And especially being in rural parts of Wisconsin, you're like, I'm going to get away. I'm going to go to the big
Mhm.
city. And, the older I get, and even with my husband, who's not from Wisconsin originally, like I've had so much joy sharing these memories and like locations of Wisconsin, and now being part of the industry and sharing Wisconsin manufacturing across the country and the world. Like I just am so proud. I mean, most 95% of the people that I know from this state are so humble, so down to earth, and just I feel endlessly proud to say that I'm from Wisconsin, that I live here, um, just for so many different reasons. But I think in particular the people.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't agree more. I'll share a quick story. So my wife isn't from Wisconsin. I obviously was born here, or born here. I say here, I'm in Omaha. I was born in Wisconsin, but my parents live down in Broadhead,
Mhm.
And so we went and visited them, and we took a day, just me and my wife, and did kind of we did the house on the rock, the cave on the mountain, like all of that stuff. And it was honestly like the best day of my life just to be able to share that with her, because she can see, like, the tour guides are so genuine and so, like you said, down to earth. And we ended the day at Pimples, a small tavern in New Glarus. And like you said, it's just we have so much pride, but there's absolutely no arrogance in it whatsoever, which is what I really appreciate about being from Wisconsin. So, no, I completely echo everything you just said. Uh, oh man, I want to go up and visit right now. Gosh darn it. Um, so yeah, so you've got that job at Carr Valley, but I do want to step back and ask if you could just share some history about Carr Valley cheese and kind of how it started, because it's been around a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So present day Carr Valley is owned by Sid Cook. He's a fourth generation master cheesemaker. His family in particular, on his mom's side, has kind of been making cheese since the late 1800s. So before he crossed paths and started Carr Valley, his family had kind of that cheese making background and lifestyle. But Carr Valley as a company started in 1902. It is right off of Highway G between Lime Ridge and Kaz area. And it was in the house behind the plant that exists today. But at the time, and basically up until Sid purchased the plant in 1986, they basically have been making one product for one customer. A lot of that
Oh,
history,
wow.
that plant specific was doing bandage wrapped daisies, which is a 23-pound cheddar wheel. Um,
Okay.
and most companies too at the time, like there's so many different cheese companies and factories around, and a lot of them had one customer kind of thing. So but that's kind of what attracted Sid to Carr Valley, was they were making something at the time that was seen as a more of a specialty product, where a lot of other makers and what his family was doing was more of like the commodity cheddar block, Monterey Jack, Colby, things like that, where this artisan bandage wrap daisy was seen as maybe a higher end product that Sid saw opportunity with. So he decided to go down. The plant at the time was owned by the Mueller family, the Mueller brothers. And he was pretty young at the time, but Sid went in and spoke with Bessie in the front store, and talked with the Muellers and purchased Carr Valley in 1986. So, Carr Valley's more modern day story of where Sid comes in starts in that time. Um, and now, fast forwarding to now, Carr Valley has expanded to 4 plants and 7 retail stores in that, southwestern,
Hmm.
south central part of Wisconsin.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't, it's always interesting to hear kind of those stories of just the generations and how everything grows. It's really neat. So what do you think makes Carr Valley special? Is it the cows? Is it the milk? Is it the people? You don't need to give away any super secrets, but what do you think makes Carr Valley special? Because for me, it's arguably top two or three cheese that I've ever eaten in my life.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's honestly a combination. First and foremost, one thing that we share is the milk from the land. Wisconsin in general is such a great dairying state because of the terroir throughout the state. In particular, in our area, which is kind of at the tail end of the driftless region, there's so much fresh water. The soil is rich. We have a lot of plant life that was pushed down. Just the diversity of the plants in our area is pretty unique. So first and foremost, yes, absolutely the milk. We still have a patron network of farmers, meaning we have 8 farms that we're picking up from 7 days a week, from like about a 20-30 mile radius around our plant. And so that absolutely is something that makes our cheese special, because at the very base, it's all about the milk, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And then, second of all, it is the people. There's a lot of people like me in the organization that started when they were, 14, 12. My colleague, Bob, who's a master cheesemaker, now started in our wax room when he was 12. And now he's a master cheesemaker. But it's very rare to say that you've had the chance to work with your cousins, your mom, your grandmas, your best friends in an environment. And I think that speaks to the company itself of having people that don't want to leave, that are
Hmm.
permanently tethered to the company in a way that they want to be. Um, and then lastly, a lot of it is innovation. I think Sid has always been at the front of innovation in the industry, wanting to try something new, wanting to be ahead of the trends, and truly letting all of his employees, you know, experiment. So we are a company that's always experimenting, always trying new recipes, and that comes from Sid. He wants to be innovative. He wants to be a pioneer in that setting, and I think that's what makes us stand out.
No, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, because yeah, you got some incredible, like you said, I'll just use a beer analogy, like it's not like you're not just doing Miller Lite, you've got, this hoppy grapefruit IPA, or you're not just doing cheddar in your sake, you're doing a XYZ cheddar or stuff like that. So I think exactly that's what makes you special, and but you're still authentic as well with, the inputs that you're putting into the product is authentic, I guess is what I was trying to get at. So what I really wanted to ask you, because I have no idea what even being a cheese grater looks like or means. So can you talk about being a licensed cheese grater?
Yeah, absolutely. So that looks different depending on your job and company that you work for. So my reason for becoming a mess or a licensed cheese grater was to understand, the varieties that are noted in the government laws. So cheddar, Colby, I believe Monterey Jack are the three like American varieties that have a
Mhm.
standard of identity. So understanding those things and wanting to expand my career in judging at the World Championship cheese contests and those types of contests. That was my main motivation for it. But also on a day-to-day level for a cheese grater, that looks like trying the existing lots and seeing if they match the standard of identity or B matches the flavor profiles, the target flavor profiles that company is looking for. We obviously do those traditional varieties, but a greater focus for us is a lot of our American original recipes, so that don't have a standard of identity, right?
Mhm. Right.
But something that is nice is for me to have that background, to have the knowledge of, ways to identify the flavor, the appearance, the texture, and compare those to our products, and try to make a more consistent and superb product. And so that's my motivation. Some cheese graters are on staff and they are literally trying and releasing lots of cheese, weekly. So, but
Mhm.
for me, it's more of to greater understand the products and to be able to back up my knowledge with actual education, right? So.
Mhm. Yeah, so can you talk about the education as well? Because I know it's a fairly rigorous a rigorous process, excuse me, to get licensed. So what does that process look like?
Yeah, so I worked with someone at the Department of Ag, that was kind of my, in a way, mentor. So I met with him several times. I also took classes at the Center for Dairy Research. So they offer so many different classes for industry members. So I've taken the cheese grading class, I've taken the intro to cheese making courses, world pasture to plate. So I took those classes that are not required, but again, give you so much base knowledge. And then ultimately you take an exam and you pass or fail. And And then you kind of have to keep it up and be recertified every 2 years, I believe, and kind of re-up your license on that setting. So I think, it's 100% worth it to, again, have that knowledge and be connected in the industry in that way. And then an even more rigorous one would be the Master Cheesemaker program, which we have two Master Cheesemakers and a third one in that process, which is a about 13-year commitment with the time spent
Wow.
to qualify to enter the program and then the time spent in the program. So
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah.
So we're gonna go kind of simplify things for just a dummy here sitting in Omaha.
Mhm.
How do you make cheese? You don't need to get into any secrets, but just simplistically, how do you make cheese? I think my listeners would really resonate with that.
Yeah. So cheese at its core is just a few ingredients. So you got your milk, you have your cultures, which is a bacteria, which will depend, that determines a lot of the flavor and the texture, depending on what variety you're making. You have the enzymes or the rennet, which kind of helps kickstart and coagulate the milk, and you have salt. So that is the only things that you need for cheese making. I grew up working at our cheddar plant, so that's kind of what I think of. But we bring in our milk. It's brought in, like I said, 7 days a week. The first thing that has to happen is that it's pasteurized. So we pasteurize all of our milk before it's made into cheese, and then it's pumped into a vat. Basically, it's heated up. We're adding the cultures to it. Again, that's like the bacteria that helps determine flavor, texture, things like that. Depending whether you're making a Swiss cheese or a Colby or cheddar, there's all different hundreds of thousands of different cultures that cheesemakers use for that
Hmm.
process. Um, then for cheddar, we're adding color. So in Wisconsin, yellow cheddar is the must. So we add annatto in, which is comes from a seed. It's just a natural coloring. So for
Oh,
us,
okay.
we're adding that. That's just a coloring, no flavor, no
So
flavor.
true cheddar, if you didn't add that, it would just be white.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then, so then it's going to be in the vat, the milk's in the vat. And then we eventually will add rennet, which again is going to start to coagulate that milk. We use a microbial rennet, meaning that it's comes from microbes versus the traditional way, which comes from an animal. It comes from calves. It's an
Oh, okay.
enzyme found in the stomach lining. But that helps, kickstart that coagulant. And then we're kind of cutting the vat to cut the curd and then drain the whey, and then you salt it, and then you have curd. So that's a very simple um, breakdown of it. So I hopefully no cheesemakers come after me for that one, but that's like the very basic quick guide. But for us, the process takes about 4 hours.
No, that's interesting. That is really cool. It's just insane. Like you said, it's, basically four ingredients and you can get thousands of different types of cheese just based on, what enzymes you're using. And yeah, so that's awesome to hear. So I did want to ask because I've seen some creameries on a show called Wisconsin Foodie. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke's great. What do you do with your whey? Do you do anything with your whey?
Yeah. So
And explain what whey is for people that don't know.
Yeah, so whey is the byproduct of the cheese making process for, like, for example, for cheddar, again, cheddar standard of identity, the moisture level is below 39%. So meaning you have to get out as much moisture as possible so that it can age, right? So for that in particular, we are draining all of that whey out of
Mhm.
the vat so that we are left with just curds. Um, and so for us, we have a couple different outlets. We have, people, we sell most of it. But then because we do goat and sheep and mixed milk cheeses as well, we actually started making our own whey cream butter. So we have
Ooh.
a churn in one of our plants that we take a lot of that and turn it into butter that we sell. So that's changed over the years, but a lot of companies, like people that do buy whey, didn't want to purchase the mixed cream um,
Gotcha.
product. Obviously, like it's not just cow, and so we ended up doing that with most of ours.
That's really cool. I definitely want to buy some of that.
Yeah,
Because
it's really nice, and I think again speaks to the innovation. Like we were, Sid was told, nope, we won't take this way anymore, and so he's like, okay, well, we'll buy a churn and we're gonna make butter, and we have now a couple licensed butter makers and butter graders as well. So again,
awesome.
like continuing education is definitely promoted and is making that unique product. Like you're not going to find a mixed milk butter anywhere else than at Carr Valley. So
That's really cool. Yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on some of that.
yeah.
'Cause I was watching an episode where one of the creameries uses the whey to actually make, I think it was either vodka or gin.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that. I
Yeah,
haven't looked into that yet, but yeah.
and I can't remember what dairy that was. I'll have to circle back, but no, it's just incredible and it just goes back to what being Wisconsin is about. You're being respectful to the product. You're not wasting anything.
Mhm.
And again, why not? Like, if you can make a product out of something that usually no one would want, why not do it?
Great. I mean, at that point, it was either dump it and
Yeah.
waste it or use it. And I'm glad that we decided to use it. We started making butter probably 7, 8 years ago now. And so I'm glad that
Yeah,
we.
that's so cool.
Mhm.
So I wanted to also talk about just Wisconsin cheese, just the Wisconsin cheese culture in general, just the camaraderie. Obviously, there's competition, wanting, to be the best cheese out there, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like the more cheesemakers I talk to, you guys are really a family and support each other as an industry. Do you agree with that? And I just kind of wanted your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The fun thing, obviously, I'm younger in the generation, and a lot of, there is that younger generation coming in, but most of the founders of these companies, most of the owners, started out together. First of all, started out in very similar circumstances, whether their family had owned the plant or, XYZ. But then were people that took the first master cheesemaker class together, were people that kind of are, moving through the world and the industry throughout the same timeline. And so I think that really lends itself to create that very tight knit culture from the top. So from those like generational founder level. And it's still that way. Of course, like there's certain cheeses that are like, we have direct competitors for, but in general, it's very much an industry where we're supporting each other. We are, teaming up and collaborating together and just in general trying to support and ultimately sell Wisconsin cheese. So,
Hmm.
mhm.
Yeah. c- Competition breeds competition,
Mhm.
and especially when it's healthy competition like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
so I told you I was going to throw you a curveball.
Mhm.
So now is the time for the curveball. It's a fun one. You'll be great at it. So I always do something similar to this. It's just called my Mount Rushmore.
Mhm.
So we're just gonna do the Mount Rushmore of cheese, not brands or companies or anything, just types of cheese. So we're just gonna go back and forth. I'll give you my favorite cheese, you, me, and it's gonna be fun.
Okay.
So my favorite cheese of all time is brick cheese.
Love that. That's
It's
amazing.
I mean, it can be mild, it can be funky, it's just like the perfect cheese. You probably can explain it better than I can, but it's meltable, but not like super melty. Oh my
It's
God, it's just
buttery
yeah,
and
oh,
yes.
it's
Absolutely.
just, and I can't find it anywhere. I have to order it from Wisconsin. So yeah, brick cheese is my George Washington of my Mount Rushmore. Uh,
That's amazing.
I'm gonna turn it over to you for your first cheese.
I'm just gonna, this is such a vanilla answer, but my all-time favorite cheese is a cheddar. from us, I truly love our goat cheddar. But in general, like if I'm at the store, 9 times out of 10, I'm buying a block of cheddar. Doesn't matter. Like I like every type, every regional cheddar, really. I prefer a Midwestern cheddar, but I also love a West Coast cheddar because I love it sliced with apples. And
Mm.
I can eat like a half a block of cheddar for lunch with an apple, and every single slice of apple has a piece of cheddar on it. And that's like my all-time favorite snack. It's so simple, but I am a no frills gal sometimes. So,
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think you might need to hang out with my wife because she could eat a half block of cheddar in a heartbeat as well.
oh my God, I know. My husband stares at me and he's like, "Is that all you're eating?" And I was like, "Well, no, I'm still gonna have my lunch, but this is just like my appetizer, right?" So,
Well, there is nothing wrong with that for your first one. I'm actually gonna go Munster for number two.
amazing.
It again, it's very I like versatile cheeses. It's great on a sandwich. It's great in a mac and cheese. I just really like Munster. I think it's kind of underrated, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I agree. It's that one is also like I just think of that as such a salty, just a kind of addictive cheese. It just
Hmm.
one after the other. I could keep eating that. That's a good one for sure. Let me think. I think mine would probably be, let me think. Um, I really, really like goat chev, like a fresh goat chev log.
You might need to enlighten me on that. I'm not sure what that
So,
is.
so lots of different people make it. We have one too, but it's like basically a fresh goat cheese that typically is in like little logs in the store. A lot of them are flavored, but it has such a like a lemony, citrusy, tangy flavor. And I'm someone that loves to put cheese on bread, like toast. And so that one I love to just spread on my toast, whether it's flavored or not, and it just has like again that little citrusy flavor to it that I really like. And it's fun because a lot of companies do make flavors of it, and
Mhm.
so you could like in the holiday season a lot of times you'll see like cranberry or like gingerbread or
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about now.
yes, yep. So I like just the plain honestly, but there's so many fun flavors that when I'm looking for a flavored cheese, that's such an easy one to grab. And for entertaining, I feel like so many people are scared of goat milk cheese in general. But I think it's so good.
That's a good one. I might have to try that because, yeah, just a nice piece of bread with, yeah, some spreadable cheese. That sounds really good.
Hmm.
So my number three, I'm gonna go with probably the most authentic cheese there is. I'm just going fresh mozzarella.
Yeah,
I
that's an.
mean, it's just kind of cheese at its core, I guess. To me,
Hmm.
at least.
Hmm.
Uh, it's, I mean, pizza, but I could just get those little balls at the store and just pound them. Just
Oh yeah, yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm just going fresh mozzarella.
That's great. Um, I think mine, another one, it's I'm only saying it because it's been on my mind this week as a Carr Valley cheese is our black goat truffle. It's another goat cheddar style, but it has truffle in it. And I'll try different cheeses from time to time, and that's my current one that I keep thinking about because obviously truffle is very trendy, but it just smells so. It's not garlic. There's no garlic in it, but it has that like garlicky mushroom smell, and I just want it shredded on French fries. And like I just am thinking about. I've been thinking about it for like a week now. I had it last Friday, and I've just been kind of like dreaming about having it again. And so that's going to be my top right now too.
Okay. And
Hmm.
then, so in your background, it's on my left. I don't know if
Oh
it's
yeah.
your right. It's the kind of the toasted looking one.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that butter case?
That is bread cheese.
Oh, yeah, it was bread cheese.
Good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going bread cheese. That stuff is amazing. Oh my God, I'd never had it before.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, that's our number one product. It is so. again, buttery profile, toasty. We have different flavors, but the plain is the most popular. So it's really good in the air fryer if you have an air fryer. So
Oh my God, yeah. So, oh, yep, that's number four. Well, maybe I should have put it number one. All right, so you got one more to complete our Mount Rushmore.
For me, and this is another like calling out a very specific product, but it's one of my favorites, is the Caraway Boo, it's called. It's from Deer Creek cheese, but it's a Colby cheese with caraway in it. Again, I am like down to my core, very simple gal with cheese, and it is another cheese which is so addictive to eat. Um, and again, very simple. I just love that cheese on a Ritz cracker. And I don't care if people think I'm too simple after listening to this, but you know,
I mean, I can just picture actually you or my wife even just sitting down at the TV with a sleeve of Ritz crackers and a block of cheese and
oh yeah,
just going to
that's one
town.
serving. Yeah. A sleeve of Ritz crackers is like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, that was a ton of fun. Like I said, it was a curveball, but it was also a softball at the same time.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh goodness. So I actually wanted to ask about cheese curds.
Hmm.
So when you're going through the cheese process, obviously you're not making a block of cheese, you're making the curds. So kind of where does the process, stop to kind of go it to cheese curds instead of, a block of cheese?
Yeah. So again, speaking on cheddar specifically, so for cheese curds, obviously, when after we drain all the way out, we let the curds sit on the side to kind of form into these mats because that cheese naturally wants to knit back together. So
Hmm.
we, we cut it into these mats and it goes through the process of cheddaring, which basically we bring out this mill that sits on the side of the vat. I can send you a video afterwards so you can see what that looks like. But basically, we go through the process of cheddaring where we're throwing these mats into this machine to cut it up into the what you see as cheese curds. So it's cut down into that exact form, and then we salt it, right? And that's going to flavor it, but also bring out more moisture, which is what we want. And then at that point, it can either be sold as curds or we are paling it into presses to be made into wheels or blocks. So it's
Oh,
for
gotcha.
cheddar in particular, we're always going to cut it down to that size and salt it and add in
Hmm.
what other flavors. If we're making like our cranberry cheddar, we would add it in after the salt, and then pale it into those presses. So yeah, it always gets down to that shape first, and then is pressed. So, and most of what we do now is either put into blocks, or for more of our specialty cheeses, we do a lot of 12-pound wheels. And typically that's pressing for, I believe, 6-ish hours. It's pressed and then it's brought out to dry for a day and then sent over to our warehouse to be aged and cut. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So for people like me who live in Omaha, or for people around the world or wherever they are, where can people find Carr Valley cheese? Because everyone needs to experience it. It is delicious. It represents just the epitome of Wisconsin, and I would love for people to purchase as much of it as they can. So where can they find it?
yeah. So the easiest way to have access to our full line, because we make over 100 products. So obviously, and unfortunately, we can't distribute those all across the country. But the easiest place to get access to the majority of our line would be online. So our website, we have partnered up with Wisconsin Cheese Mart, who does e-commerce for us. So they sell all of our products for us online. So that would be the number one way if you're like having an itching for something very specific. absolutely, that would be the way to go. We also can call our stores if you're looking for something there, they can also ship to you. And then we do sell across the country to different retailers. So in your direct area, you may find our products in your local Kroger or your local Albertson store or meat markets, right?
Mhm.
So absolutely look in the cheese area. You may find 1 to 3 of our cheeses, but for the whole line, it would be best to go online.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, I'll
Yeah.
definitely put that link in the episode description for sure so people can experience it. And before we sign off, I kind of wanted to ask where you see Carr Valley going in the future, if there's any goals or you just want to keep what you're doing. I know you're very innovative, but just kind of, yeah, where do you see yourself in maybe 5 years as a company?
I think, well, definitely the innovation keeps going. I think, one of Sid's big goals is to be at the front of innovation while also keeping a lot of those traditional cheese making techniques in place. But that also being said, making our cheesemakers' jobs easier over time. So he's always looking at, different machines and different cutting operations to make the job for the cheesemakers less labor intensive, like less backbreaking, things like that. So I see that continuing. And I'm sure in 5 years we'll have 10 new cheeses out. I mean, Sid is again always trying something new. And we rarely say no to an idea. So I think just kind of keeping up with that, and hopefully we'll have over 1,000 awards by then. So
Well, again, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to brag on? I just want to give you the stage and tell us again just why Carr Valley is the best cheese in the country.
yeah, I was thinking about this, and for me, it comes back to the pride that people have for Wisconsin and for Carr Valley. I couldn't tell you how many times I'm traveling for work or personal. And if someone finds out that I work at Carr Valley, the number of times that people were like, oh my gosh, I was visiting the Wisconsin Dells with my family once, and we drove past your factory, and this nice woman named Sandy gave us this sample, and XYZ, and that kind of connection makes it all worth it, right? Like just to
Yeah.
know that locally people are proud of the company and say, have a connection to it in that way. But then nationally, there is so many happy memories attached to Carr Valley that it makes me so happy. And so I think that definitely makes it stand out, and us just being authentically us, right?
Hmm.
I truly believe we make some of the best cheese in the whole world, and it's made by the most passionate people. And I couldn't be prouder of that. And we are the top award winning cheese company for sure in the US. And I think, the longevity of those awards and just Sid's dedication to making high quality, unique American original recipes, it shows itself, and it's proven on that national, international stage when it comes to awards too. So yeah.
Well, that was a perfect closing. So, Ellie, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today. It was so much fun. I learned a lot. I mean, a lot. Your knowledge as a cheese grater really shone through. So I appreciate the way you kind of walked us through everything, the history, the craft, and most importantly, the heart behind what you guys do at Carr Valley. And again, so everyone out there, Carr Valley cheese truly rocks. It truly rocks. And you guys are carrying forward a Wisconsin tradition in a way that's authentic, thoughtful, and innovative. So keep doing what you're doing. It matters, and people feel it. And more importantly, people taste it.
Thank you.
So thanks for being here, Ellie, and everyone. This is Dan signing off from Stream of Consciousness.